Yeah, I want to introduce you to my good friend, Tony Javier. I've known Tony now, oh my gosh, probably 15 years or some long time like that. And, Tony is a very successful investor. And he does a lot of TV commercials. And then more recently, like last 2, 3 years, Tony, that you start introducing other investors to the TV world. Is that correct?
That's correct. A little over 2.5 years now.
Yeah, 2.5 years. And since then, a lot of his clients have just blown up big time because of TV's ability to give you a wider, a wider reach there. But yeah, so super excited, for Tony to share with us kind of the case studies of how it's been producing for him and his clients. And for those of you who guys wants to take your single family home flipping, wholesaling, even rentals to the next level, this is you're in the right place. And then Tony, somewhere in the presentation, I also would like to hear, is this something that we can expand into things like multifamily, commercial real estate, land? And so with that, I'll turn it over to you, buddy.
Sounds good, man. Well, I appreciate you having me, Tim. So the short answer is yes to that. This can transition into other businesses and other legs of business, not just real estate investing. And I'll kind of share that with you a little bit on how that's possible and kind of other clients we work with as well outside of real estate investing. So TV commercials. So I'm going to share with you guys today why TV is not just branding, how it can generate a very high ROI and all of the other benefits that come with TV commercials. So why don't people do TV commercials, right? Or why don't people think about it? So I've been on TV myself for 11 years in my market. It's been the most consistent lead channel by far, and the best lead channel over the last 11 years. So a lot of the reasons that people don't think about TV, because when I go into mastermind groups or when I go into other places where they're high-level business owners, a lot of people think, you're on TV. Why are you on TV for real estate investing? To find motivated sellers, obviously. And they don't get the fact that there's a way to do it that's not as expensive as people would think, and that you don't have to be a big business. So the top 3 reasons people don't do TV commercials is one, they think it's way too expensive, which I'm going to show you guys how it's not expensive and how you can spend a reasonable amount of money and get a really good return on it. 2 is people think their business is way too small. You look at the big brands on TV and they became big brands because of TV, but that doesn't mean you have to be a big brand to be on TV, right? And then also, not many people talk about it, right? So like, where do you start? How do you script a commercial? How do you buy the ads? How do you produce it? Where do you go to shoot the commercial? There's so many different elements to TV that make it a non-competitive channel, not just non-competitive in the real estate investing industry, but in a lot of industries, right? I mean, if you look at a lot of the commercials, there's probably a few industries that are pretty competitive, like car commercials and, some home services industries and things of that nature. But a lot of different industries are not very competitive, especially real estate investing, right? And it's because there's such a high barrier of entry, which makes it great for people who can figure out how to do TV commercials, right? So what I want to do now, just kind of share, I guess, a little bit about my background and kind of how commercials started and things of that nature. So I've been investing for 22 years now. It's my 22nd year in the real estate investing game. I invest in Wichita, Kansas, mainly. That's where I've been running my TV commercials for 11 years now.
Wow.
I was fortunate enough in 2010, actually, is kind of when I think I started connecting with Tim a little bit in that range. But I bought into Fortune Builders, which showed you how to create a business that ran without you, right? And I didn't realize that a business can run without you until then. And so at that point, I kind of hit rock bottom because I let go of my staff a couple times. Within a 30-day period, I had to let go of all my staff for the second time. And I realized I needed to make big changes. And so obviously, hiring better people was one of them, creating better systems and processes. But along the way, I was able to discover TV commercials. So if you think of outbound marketing compared to inbound marketing, outbound marketing, you're texting, you're cold calling, you're door knocking, you're driving for dollars, you're actually asking people to do business with you. Well, the smarter way to do it in my mind, which is way more automated, are things where you can put it out there and people come to you. They're asking you to do business with them instead of the other way around. And so if you think about how much time and energy it takes to do outbound marketing. So one thing I didn't mention is I work a few hours a week now in my real estate investing business where I live in San Diego and my business runs in Wichita. And so I think when I think of things that I do, I think of how can I do something where it's as little effort as possible, where I can get the highest quality coming back in, whether that's hiring better people, whether that's marketing, whether, anything that I do, investing. And so for me, TV commercials are a way for me to leverage my time and have something out there working in the background that I only have to spend maybe a few hours a year, literally a few hours a year managing, because we have it set up right and leads are coming in and we only have to change our commercial or do things differently a couple times a year at most. And so that's kind of about background about me and my business. So I'll tell you guys how TV commercials started. So it's kind of cool. So back in 2012, I met a guy and I ended up meeting him at a networking event, became really good friends. About a year later, he invites me to a poker game and he says, "Hey, I met this other guy going to Vegas just randomly and he's having this poker game." And so I'm like, "Cool, I love poker. Let's go." So I go down to the basement and there's these two poker tables set up and down at the other end of the basement are these two guys that I recognize. And I'm like, these guys are on TV, right? And so I kind of get this like ooh, all factor, like, oh, these guys are on TV. Well, they're business owners that had TV commercials, right? And so I end up sitting next to one of them. And I said, "Hey, Chad," because I knew his name from TV. I said, "Hey, Chad, I see you on TV all the time. How are your commercials doing for you?" And he's like, "We do millions and millions of dollars a year of business off of our TV commercials. And that's all the marketing we do. That's all we have to do because we get so much business from it." So he just started telling me like how great TV was and all this stuff. So I'm like, drilling him with questions. And he's like, "A lot of these things my media guy, Drew, can answer for you." So I said, "Give me his number." So I call him Monday morning. And I say, "Hey, Drew, I heard you're the TV guy. This is pretty interesting. I thought you had to be, this and that to be on TV, but Chad's telling me that it's a lot easier and a lot less expensive than I thought it was." And so Drew's like, "You know what, let me reach out to the stations. I think I know who your demographic is, and I will put together a schedule for you, show it to you. And if you like it, then you put the script together. I'll help you produce it and we'll do this all together." And so about a week later, he comes back to me and he's like, "Hey, I got some really good rates for a few $1,000. I can get you several hundred spots per month. And here's what it looks like." And I'm like, "Great." So I put the script together. He approves it. He sets me up to shoot the commercial. His team produces it, makes it super easy for me. And within 30 days, I was on TV, spent a few $1,000 my first month and made over 30 grand my first month right out of the gate. Right. And so that was 2012. And up to today, it's produced anywhere from a 5 to 12 times return on investment for me. And anybody we've helped show this to and help implement this for are getting pretty similar results, where it's about a 5 to 10 times return on investment, which for those of you who are actively investing in real estate, you know that 3 times return is actually a pretty decent investment at this point, considering how much competition there is in the game. But anytime you get a 5x ROI on your investment, that's just unbelievable. It's kind of hard to do that with a lot of different marketing channels these days. So what I want to do is I'm going to show you real quick some different. Sorry, give me just a second. A few different clients and stuff we worked with that kind of give you an idea that this is not just branding. So you may recognize some of these names. John Blackburn, he's done a couple different markets with us. Right off the bat, like when we did TV, I thought, how is this going to do for other real estate investors? Is this going to do just as well for other investors right off the bat? Or is it something that's going to take a lot of time? And luckily, it produced pretty quickly for a lot of people. So like John Blackburn, he got 128 calls in his first 30 days. And it was crazy because he would message me like for the first 6 months, like every time he did a big deal, or not every time, but a lot of, he's like, did another 30K deal, did another 50K deal. And then he got me on the phone after 6 months. He's like, I have done anywhere from $100,000 to $200,000 in profits for my TV consistently. Yeah. And I don't think at that point he had under $100,000 a month, which is ironic because he actually worked with fortune builders at the time and ran their passive income program, but he's been investing for a little over a decade. Josh and Ashley Hines, some of you guys may know Josh. He's pretty active in the space. Some contracts in the first 6 weeks, and he makes between 13 and 15,000 a contract. And he said some of those deals he was going to flip and make more money. So he was going to 10x his money in the first couple months, and now he's running TV with us in 2 different markets. Let's see. We typically don't take on new investors, but Adam up there on the top left, he has a full-time job, so he told us not to use his last name and stuff. But in the first 2 months, he did $100,000 in assignment fees, whereas before he only did like 1 deal from several months of texting and cold calling, which is super cool. Some of you guys know Lauren Hardy. She's a wholesaling coach. She did 10 contracts her first month, which is insane. We've had a few people do about 10 contracts before, but that just blows my mind. Just seeing a lot of these results, but especially, stories like that where 10 deals out of the gate is crazy. Dean Rogers, that's a pretty cool story. He did $500,000, his first year from TV, which was 21. And then last year he told me he did over $1 million in additional assignment fees because he leveraged his TV commercials to start a RIA group. And was able, actually had a RIA group and wasn't growing it really fast. But once he got on TV and the credibility, he was able to really leverage that. And from people coming into the group and him JVing on deals, he did over $1 million just from the JV partnerships on those deals, which is crazy. I could go on and on. These are
hold on real quick, because you brought up a really good point. I love the idea of leveraging your TV commercial not only to buy houses, but to start your RIA group, because that is a great source of deals. But I also noticed that a number of your clients are now also educators. So they're using the success from the deals that they make on TV to become an educator. That's a good idea.
Well, here's a fun spin. And this is on the huge list of projects that we have that we're thinking about. But one of the things we want to do is, now that we've seen, and that's not the only person that's leveraged their commercials from RIA groups, but that's the biggest I've seen so far. But we're planning on doing TV commercials for our clients that either run RIA groups or have coaching programs, so that they can get people into those, especially if they sell high ticket programs like you do, or I think you still do that a little bit, Tim. And then also maybe figure out how to create a program where our clients, we can plug their commercials in, them be on them, and then us do the education on the backside. So yeah, definitely there's different ways to leverage TV with your motivated seller lead commercial, but also to expand it into different things like marketing for land, market for multifamily, and things of that nature. So yeah, good point. Yeah. So, just to kind of drive home the point, we've got, 20 times ROI. Michael Smith, he's actually marketing on a couple different channels with us. He was on pace to do 60 deals last year, and he said it was mainly because of TV. And I think pretty sure he hit that last year. 100K deal. Cody, he's doing TV with us in 3 different markets. 100K deal. That's John. That's that same John Blackburn I told you about. He did 7 contracts in 1 month. One of them was over 100K. And then just a couple more on the bottom right here. More people have done 100K assignments, I think, from our program than any I've heard of. TV just provides bigger fees than other fees and profits than other channels that we have seen. And now our clients are saying the exact same thing. So yeah, it's just crazy looking at these numbers and the effect that it's had on businesses. That I just kind of wanted to share that with you, because a lot of people, again, they think it's branding. They think you get on TV and you're just kind of staying in front of them so that, they may potentially call you later, or You want to break even on, a marketing channel like TV just to have the brand factor and then maybe get some other benefits from it, right?
Mhm.
So I mentioned branding. So I want to talk about some other benefits of TV because, I showed you the ROI. That's not just the only benefit. Kind of talked a little bit about credibility. But I'm going to share with you, let's see, I narrowed it down to 7. I've got many benefits of TV, but I'll kind of talk about the top 7. So the first is credibility, which to me by itself is almost worth it. When people talk to you, or when people see you, they just talk to you differently when they know you're on TV. So I'll go to Wichita once a year, and it doesn't fail that someone will come up to me in a grocery store or something and say, "Tony, you're the TV guy," and just start a conversation with me, right? Whereas they could have give a shit who I was before, before they saw me on TV, right? And even me talking to Chad at the poker game, I probably wouldn't. I'm pretty introverted, so I, ended up going up and talking to him, and I was kind of wowed by him and all that kind of stuff. But when contractors talk to you, sellers talk to you, buyers talk to you, private lenders, I have many private lenders that I've been connected with that said, "Hey, I've seen you on TV over the years," and they're actually like talking to me, like it's almost like they're talking me into doing business with them as opposed to the other way around, right? Just because they, they feel like they know who I am and they think it's cool that, I'm on TV and in real estate and all that kind of stuff. I talked to you about little to no competition. There's, again, it's just such a high barrier of entry. So like even Tim's a super smart guy. So I'm like, "Tim, TV commercials are great." Even Tim, you'd probably be like, "Oh shit, who do I call?" And you'd be, it'd probably take you a while to figure out just because there's so many different elements to it. Right. And a lot of investors have came to us when they tried to do it on their own and then finally found out about us. So, return on time is a big deal. I kind of touched on that already. So not only a good return on investment, but think about it, return on time. You put commercials out there, you let them run in the background, people are calling you, as opposed to a lot of other methods where you have to pull lists, you have to manage texters and cold callers, even direct mail. We do direct mail. And even that every month we have to figure out, are we still doing the same list? Are we going to change up the list? Are we going to change up the copy? Are we going to change up the headline? I mean, there's still a lot of management to it. So return on time to me is a huge deal. Quality of leads. So think about it. When people are watching TV, they're not just going to get up off the couch, or they probably won't get up off the couch. I guess they have a cell phone, right? So, but for them to take the time and energy to actually look at the screen, dial the phone number, and call you, the chances of them are being a serious lead is much higher than just responding to a text message, than just seeing a Facebook ad that pops up that says, "Do you want to sell?" And they, type in their address or message you and say, "Hey, I'm looking to sell," or "Can you just give me a value on my house?" Right. So the quality of lead is much higher. So 1 out of 60 leads typically turns into a deal for like texting and cold calling and a lot of outbound channels. Whereas inbound channels like TV, typically it's 1 in every 5 to 1 in every 20. Probably averages out somewhere between 10 and 15 people that we asked that we've helped with TV commercials before. So the amount of deals you have to go through is a lot less. And not only that, but the profit margins I mentioned are higher, and they're typically higher because they're only calling you a lot of the time, as opposed to getting a stack of postcards and calling 5 people out of the stack of postcards, or as opposed to pay-per-click where they're Googling and saying, "Buy my house," and then, that they call the top 5 or 10, right? So you're able to close the deals easier. You're able to negotiate better prices. And the chances of you getting that deal is a lot higher because they're wanting to do business with you, and you've already shown that you're credible by being on TV, and they're wanting to work with you. We've actually this just happened the other day. We've actually locked up deals $15,000 below the highest offer, and they've gone with us because they said, "You're on TV and we trust you." And in fact, we just got one last week. I think we were like $10,000 less.
Wow.
But they said that they trusted us more because they saw us on TV and they'd seen our stuff before. Whereas the other people that came out, they didn't trust as much and didn't know.
Right.
One really cool thing is a lot of you guys are probably doing a lot of other marketing. Well, it helps your other forms of marketing because of the credibility, right? Yeah. So we've actually had people call us out a stack of postcards and said, "We called you and only you because you're on TV, we don't know who these other people are, right? And so, not saying we got every single one of those deals, but being called out of that stack of postcards. Whereas if we hadn't have been on TV, they may not have called us, or they may have called a bunch of different people in that stack. In fact, we just got a deal the other day where they went online and they filled out a form. They came into town from out of town, and while they were at the hotel, they saw our commercial. I think they were selling their parents' house or grandparents' house or something like that. And they saw our commercial and they mentioned it when they went to the appointment. So did we get that deal because of TV? Maybe, maybe not, but it doesn't hurt, right? I mean, the fact that they Googled us and then they saw us on TV, I feel like we probably got that deal easier because we were on TV. And then the coolest thing about TV, and one of the many reasons why it works really well, is think about the demographic that watches TV. 50 plus is our demographic. I'm sure many of you guys would agree. And lower income, maybe mid-income, right? But low to mid-income. And that's who's watching TV, right? People say, well, people are moving to streaming. Well, guess what? They're paying more money for streaming, and they're probably a younger demographic. That's not who we're necessarily going after, right? So, anybody who grew up watching TV back in the day, that was a huge privilege to have TV, right? And even to this day, and I remember, because I used to, went on appointments. I think the last one I went on was like 7 years ago. I remember going into houses and TVs were always on, right? They're just always on in the background, whether they're cooking or cleaning or doing whatever. They grew up that way, and that's just how they are. So think about all of those benefits. There's many more, like I mentioned, raising private money, contractors talking to you differently and maybe giving you better deals because they respect you and know you and they feel like you're going to pay them. I mean, there's so many different other benefits of TV, but those are definitely the main ones. So some crucial elements of TV, and I'll kind of start wrapping it up here and answer any questions you guys have. But to me, there's some crucial elements of TV that I think you should know, but you can also kind of spin and use in your other forms of marketing, right? So I'll kind of go over those with you real quick. So first of all, airing on the right shows. In fact, I had a call earlier today with someone that I talked to about TV about a year ago, and they ended up going a different route because they knew somebody and they tried TV and they didn't have results. And I'm part of they're part of Investor Fuel, which is a mastermind. And we have 30 clients in that mastermind that are doing really well. We've only had like two or three people cancel in the last 2 months or 2 years that we've been in that group. And so he ended up trying his friend or whatever. And he got on a call this morning and he showed me his schedule. And I'm like, there's no reason you should be on HGTV. There's no reason you should be on Rachel Ray. There's just all these shows that they were on that are higher income demographic, that are on cable where people have to spend more money. And that's the reason they weren't getting one of the reasons they weren't getting any results. So airing on the right shows is a huge thing. And so over the last 11 years, we've been able to dial that in pretty well, where now we have over 100 real estate investors that we're working with that we've dialed in those same commercials or those same shows. And we know that formula works, right? Because we're trying to hit a lower income demographic that's higher, that's a little bit up there in age. And if you're not hitting those shows, just like as if you pull the wrong list, right? If you pull the wrong list, the chances of you doing deals off that list are much less likely. Good scripting and call to action. It frustrates me when people have marketing, whether it's direct mail or whatever it is, and they don't have a good call to action, because sometimes you just have to have that good call that tells people what to do. So for me and my commercial, we started this back in the day, is I wanted people to call me even if they were just thinking about selling at the time. So in my commercials at the end, I always say, and this is the end where I repeat it, and it's on hundreds of commercials every single month, is I say, if you're even thinking about selling your house, give us a call for a free cash offer at 686-SELL. That's 686-7355. And so just having that little call to action that tells them what to do and why to do it is a big thing, right? I hate seeing billboards and commercials where they don't have a very good website, don't have a very good phone number, or don't even have those at all, right? It's just crazy to me that even some of the big brands do that. Layout of the commercial, I think, is very important. We actually had a client come a couple years ago when we first started this, and he showed us everything that he was doing. He wasn't having success, and he showed us his schedule. He showed us his commercial, and we just picked everything apart, and respectfully, of course. But one of the things that he didn't have was a very good layout of his commercial. He had an actor that was in the commercial the whole time, and then at the very end just kind of flashed the phone number at the end, and in a long ass website. It was like a huge long website that no one's going to remember, especially in 2 to 3 seconds. And so when he came to us, we redid the layout, we redid his whole ad spend, we redid everything. And now he was spending $10,000 a month by himself in one market. Now he's spending $150,000 in 5 different markets with us, because we were able to dial it in one market, and then he was able to plug it into multiple markets. But I think one of the big crucial elements he had wrong was the layout of the commercial. It wasn't very sexy. It was an actor, and they just had a lot of the wrong things on there. And so that's one big piece to it. And then I kind of already mentioned is just having an easy to remember phone number and website. So we have maintenance vans that we have driving around. We have an easy to remember phone number and website we have on there. Our postcards, even though people have it in their hand, you still want to have something that's easy to remember, and that they can type in very easily. And then especially with the TV commercial, that same guy that I told you about that came to us, he had, I can't tell you what the website is because I don't want to disclose who he is, but it basically had so-and-so buys houses in, it was just like super, super long, right? So for me, 3 words or less on a website is crucial to people remembering it, because if they put 1 digit in wrong, either they're going to go to somebody else's website, or they're going to go, oh crap, I can't remember the website. They're going to try and Google you, and then they're going to find all your competitors, right? So it's all those little things that I feel like that you can do with your commercial, even just marketing in general, that make a pretty big impact. So I'll just kind of wrap up and just say that, I feel like TV is the thing that really put us on the map in our market. It's something that I feel like has kept us in business, because a lot of other marketing methods have come and gone, whereas TV has been very consistent over the last 11 years. So I just encourage you guys, if you guys want to do something smarter, obviously, like I mentioned, people, processes, all that stuff is super important. But doing things where people are calling you and asking you to do business and that are more automated are the things that are going to help you grow much quicker, much faster, and much easier. So I'll kind of open it up for questions here. I'll just kind of share my contact info here. If you guys want to go to this website, you're more than happy to book a call with us. We'll answer any questions you have, and I'll answer some questions here as well. Right. But we only work with so many people per market. So if you guys want to go there, put your information in, and we'll let you know if your market's available, kind of go over the ad spend with you, what your reach is with TV, kind of show you the maps and everything, and all that good stuff. And would love to see if we can help you guys. So I think I saw some questions come through the chat. Did you have some?
Real quick. Yeah, we're going to go to Daryl's questions here. Great questions. Before we do that, I'd love to see like a couple of these commercials just to get an idea of what they look like.
Yeah, give me a second. Let me pull up one of my commercials, give you a good idea of what they are. All right, so here's my website. I'm actually glad you asked that question, because one of the things I want to show you here is we actually you guys have heard as seen on TV, right? Yep. That builds a lot of credibility. And so we put as seen on TV on everything we do. We put on our website, we put on our postcards. It's something that when people see as seen on TV, it just builds more credibility. And actually we tested it, and we've gotten 50% better results just by having as seen on TV with these logos on our website. Awesome. So this is a commercial. We edited the phone number for the website. It's actually 686-SELL. Actually, let me reshare my screen because I think I have to share audio. Yeah, there we go.
So you edit the phone number so you can track it separately. Is that correct?
Yeah, this is the phone number to our website that we have
Got
on here. So we just edited the commercial out. So.
Hi, this is Tony Javier with Professional Home Buyers. Do you have a home that's costing you too much time and money? Maybe you have equity in a home that you want to get out, or inherited a home you're not sure what to do with. For 15 years, we've been the quickest solution to you selling your home as is, with no fees, no commissions, and no hassle. If you're even thinking of selling your home, give us a call today for a free cash offer.
Professional home buyers, calling us pays to get your cash in days.
There you are. Quick 30 seconds. That was, I need to change up that commercial. It says 15 years ago. I was a little younger, 7 years ago, but it's one of our better producing commercials. So we put it on the website there. So.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, cool.
Yeah. Let's go to Daryl's questions.
Yeah. How long does it take to get this phone ring, see the phone ringing? Honestly, it's interesting because sometimes day one, people will text us and be like, did you really launch today? Because we're actually starting to see the phone ring. So that's not every time, but what I can tell you is that when I launched my first month, we started seeing results month one. And luckily we, with most of our clients after 30 days, the results, we follow up with them and they're like, we've already gotten 3 deals under contract. We've gotten 5 deals under contract. We've gotten, or at least 1 deal under contract. Very rarely does anybody after 30 days say, I haven't gotten any deals. We actually had it happen yesterday. It's a huge market. It does happen sometimes, but I would say 90% of the time, people are like, we're doing multiple deals our first month and the phone is ringing. We're getting really good leads. So unlike most what people think, it doesn't take that long to start producing.
Gotcha.
What is the lead time from the start to your first commercial airs? We have got it dialed in where it's about 30 days. So depending on our workload and how many people are onboarding at the time, we've done it as fast as 3 weeks. But usually 30 days. So we put the scripts together. We will call the stations and negotiate rates, all that good stuff. So typically a week to 2 weeks to negotiate rates and get scripts together. And then we'll set you up to shoot the commercial in your market. If you don't want to do the commercial, I can do it, or we can hire an actor. But usually it's about 30 days. Any rules on what you can advertise? Might want to expand a little bit more on that, but basically with us, we have data, right? We know what stations work. We know what shows work. We know all that kind of stuff. And we've tested different scripts, and the scripts that I tested over the years, I knew what worked and what didn't work. And luckily what worked in my market and I felt worked really well is now working in other markets. So when someone comes to us and says, we're going to do TV with you, we're going to use our scripts and plug your information in. And we're going to try not to vary it too much. It's kind of like when you buy into a McDonald's franchise, you're not going to redo the hamburger. You're not going to redo the packaging. It's going to be pretty standard. I mean, with us, it's not going to be that strict, but we don't want to change it up too much because we know what works and it's worked really well. So I don't know if that answered your question or not. And then also one thing I also forgot is, so we're working with over 100 real estate investors right now. We're actually working, my media company is working with over 100 other businesses outside of real estate investing. So like Tim mentioned, we can do things outside of real estate investing, and we can also do radio and billboards. So I actually do radio and billboards, a billboard myself. Right now I own a billboard. So, but yeah, we tie in TV, radio, and billboards together. And those from companies that we've worked with and done that for have tied in really well. So if you guys are looking to potentially do radio as well, that's something we can do. What systems and process do I need to set up before we begin? Good question. One of the reasons, I'd say the number one reason, I think 90% of the time when someone after, let's say 90 days comes to us and says, we're going to stop commercials, is because of the sales process, is because they don't have their systems dialed in. So to me, speed to lead is a very big thing. That's something I preach on my team quite a bit. and something that I want our clients to do as well. That doesn't mean everything perfect has to be set up. You know, we can kind of talk through the process of all that kind of stuff, but you know, we can help you, you know, set up some different things on the back end. But one thing I'd recommend is to make sure when your TV commercials air, you're answering the phone. If you're not answering the phone, you're getting back to them very quickly. We have an answering service that we have answer the phone, even though it's not perfect and the answering service can kind of suck sometimes. It's better to have a human answer to get that call and to at least they have a human to talk to. And then our standard is within 3 minutes, if they fill out a form, if they leave a message, or the answering service gets a hold of them first, within 3 minutes, we want to call them back, because every single minute that goes by is less likely for them to do business with you. They've done studies on that where literally dramatically every minute, I think they do it more in like 5-minute increments or something like that. But any which way, the more time that goes by, the less likely they are to do business with you, because maybe they don't trust you as much because they're not able to get a hold of you. You know, have people want things right now. And then also the more likely it is that they're going to start calling your competitors, right? So even though you may be the only one they call out of the gate, if you don't get back to them for an hour even, they may go, well, you know, maybe they're not as legit as I thought. Now I'm going to start calling other people, right? If you're just getting started, how do you get around the credibility thing? You've purchased X amount of homes. Well, that's the cool thing is we have had some, I think we have probably a few brand new investors that we started out of the gate that are actually still doing well. We've had a few others that we've started and you know, phased out for different reasons. But what I have seen is that when you have TV commercials, they're probably not going to really question you. I can, that's interesting. I'll have to ask my team, but I don't think that anybody ever questions how many deals we've done because we're on TV and probably because they've seen us in multiple channels, radio, TV, potentially our billboard, and or maybe like a postcard or something like that. So, but for someone starting out, I don't think it's going to be an issue. I don't think they're going to ask you how many deals you purchased, but if they do and you haven't done that many, you just have to be honest with them. Figure out how to build that credibility otherwise.
Yeah, I mean that's probably generally speaking too. Like it's rare that a seller would ask that, regardless what marketing channel. Really, they're more focused on how how you'll be able to provide the solution they're looking for, more so than anything else. Question for you, Tony, on in a down market. I know you started your commercial. You said it was 11 years ago, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so it was like at the end of the last market cycle. So how do you think, based on your experience and maybe others that you talk to that does a lot of TVs, how did they thrive through like the 2008 2009 market with TV?
That's the interesting thing, because in 2008 2009 there wasn't anybody really doing TV. In fact, I've only met two people, maybe one or two people. One started around the same time, but only one other that did TV, has done TV before 2012. So I think in 2008, 2009, there probably weren't any investors. So a lot of you guys know probably Collective Genius. I joined that in 2015. One other investor in that whole group of 100 plus high level real estate investors doing TV. And when I joined Investor Fuel 2.5 years ago, one other investor doing TV, and they actually switched over to us because they weren't liking how their agency was dealing with them. And so I don't even know if anybody was doing TV back then, but I would imagine that TV would do even better in a down market. So for some reason we had a down market soon, I think it would probably do better because a lot of investors would pull their marketing back. And if you're on TV and continuing to market, then you're going to get the deals that other people aren't getting because they're not marketing as much.
Right. That's and then you mentioned about being able to target other than just houses. Now, with TV being such a broad mass market platform, I can see how houses work really well, because most of the people watching TV, watching these stations are, they have a house instead of land, multifamily, commercial. So when you are targeting into those specific asset type, how would you best go about targeting that?
Targeting the asset type specifically.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have so our commercials are catered to deal with motivated sellers for housing mostly. We do if someone does land as well, which we've got. I have one client that's done $200,000 profit deals from land where they bought the deal, and one of them he just wholesaled off because the person really didn't know what it was worth and just gave him a crazy low number. And then the other one, he split 3 lots, ended up selling them pretty quickly and making 100,000 on that deal. And so we can mention land in the commercial as well, or we actually have clients that are doing land only commercials where they talk about they only do land. And on that, they get a lot of house leads as well. So I'd recommend even if you're going to do land commercials, that you figure out how to monetize those house deals, because they're still going to come even though even if you mention land in your commercial.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions, you guys? Oh, Daryl asked one. Is it best to target a specific market or motivation of the seller?
Yeah. So let me share my screen again real quick.
Yeah. And probably along that line too, a follow-up question would be, big market versus small markets.
Yeah, great question. So that's perfect time for me to pull up my screen here again. Okay, so here's a map of the US. So these are what we call DMAs, or you can just call them TV markets. So like for instance, San Diego, if you look down here at the bottom, 1 million homes with TVs in that market. So you're gonna hit about 3 million people, give or take, because there's about 3 people per household. If you look, I know Melissa will get this, but a lot of you may not, but like this goes all the way to like Palm Springs, which is like, oh gosh, what is that? It's at least an hour drive, I think, from San Diego, maybe an hour and a half. And then all the way up to
it's 4 hours right now with construction.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Insane. My parents live in India, so I'm constantly back and forth, and oh god, it's brutal right now.
Yeah, well, that's interesting. You have a car accident, you have construction, it can easily double your time. So, yeah, in California. And then LA, I mean, that's a massive reach here. So TV reaches pretty far. So if you say, I just want to do San Diego, no, you're going to have to do San Diego, North County. You're going to have to go all the way up to Oceanside, if you guys are familiar with San Diego, and even pretty far east. And then even some of these markets like Phoenix, like you're covering almost the whole state, just because that's the way the TV market's set up. And if anybody's in a market and they want me to pull up the map, I'd love to pull up one of their markets. What's that?
Houston.
That's a pretty big market. So 2.2 million homes with TV. So you're about 6 million people, give or take, down here. And so to the east, you've got Beaumont, Port Arthur, Texas. I actually run TV with a partner in Tyler, Longview. That gives you an idea how far north that goes. Waco, Temple Bryan area to the north, Austin to the west, San Antonio to the straight west.
Hey, Tony, what is the Nielsen rate? What do those mean?
Yeah, great question. So that is just the size of the market. So if you notice this, the darker here are the smaller markets.
Okay.
So as it gets lighter, like Los Angeles is the second biggest.
Okay, got it. Thank
market.
you.
Yeah. So yeah, and then to answer your question, the size of the market. So we're marketing specifically to that market for motivated sellers that want to sell their house. And when you go into smaller markets, you can spend less money just because it is a smaller market. You're not going to reach quite as many people, but some people are spending, $5,000 to $7,000 a month and making as much as some of our investors that are spending $20,000 a month, So, it is kind of market specific, but there's a lot of different variables to it. So if anybody wants this map, I can send it to them, or if you want to schedule a call, we can go through the different markets. But Detroit, Michigan, let's let's see. I know where Michigan is. Where is it? It's over here. No, it's not. I should know this map by now. There we go. Grand Rapids. Is that right? Yeah, Grand Rapids. 720,000 homes with households. So you're looking about 2 million people. And then Detroit is much bigger. 1.8 million households. And then you've got a market in between, which is Lansing. So the cool thing is that if a market's too big or expensive, you could go to a market right next door. Or some people will, even start in their own market and then start marketing to areas right around them. So, and then I think Josh asked about commercial real estate. We've never tried that. The obstacle I think that you would have with commercial real estate is that if you're marketing to a lower income demographic, now you're marketing to investors that are a little more experienced, a little more like a higher income. So the commercials are going to get a little more expensive because more people want to target that demographic. So it definitely can be done. It's nothing that we've done before, but it's definitely something that you can do. And then, oh gosh, there was another thought I just had that I wanted to mention to you guys. I think I mentioned radio, but yeah, anyway, so basically I feel like almost anything can work because I've heard of industries that, and we've serviced industries where you wouldn't think that it would potentially work, but I think it works really well if you have if you're working or trying to find lower income clients, older age, and you have a high ticket item, which high ticket item, obviously, if you do a deal from real estate investing, it's anywhere from 10 grand to potentially 100,000 plus. Oh, the other thing I was going to mention is real estate agents. If you guys are selling real estate and want to market as a realtor, that's something that we can do as well. And if you're looking at commercial real estate marketing, that could be something good if you already have a team and they can leverage the commercials as well. So I think for real estate agents, if someone has a team that they have 5 to 10 agents and they're able to leverage the commercials for the whole team, I think it's an absolute no-brainer. I think that would be super good.
It's a good idea. Yeah, really good idea. Yeah, what's in terms of marketing budget, I'm sure, like you mentioned, small market, big markets, but give us a general rule of thumb of what is marketing budget that you recommend, based on how much coverage, how many people you're reaching out to, or households. But yeah, what's the marketing budget, and then what can we expect as a return, if we were to invest based on that budget?
Yeah, great question. So some of those smaller markets, you're probably going to spend around 5 to 7,000 a month, and 5 to 7,000 is going to get you hundreds of commercials still, even though it's kind of a low ad spend. You're still looking at, anywhere from 400 to 800 commercials per month. Some of the smaller markets, you might get 1,000, which is insane because you're on air at least 30 times a day. So you're getting like huge exposure. There's some markets like Houston that's going to be more expensive. You're looking at probably at least 10 to 15 grand a month just because of the size of it. And then the return, as I'd mentioned, I mean, the smaller market you're in, the lower the ad spend. Typically, we're seeing a higher return on investment, but that doesn't mean that you're making more money, right? Because your return on investment as your spend can go down, but your profits go up because of the amount of deals you're doing compared to the ad spend, right? And so I would anticipate, what I tell everybody that I talk to is, if you're going to run TV, a 2 to 3 times return on investment is still pretty decent, considering all the other benefits you get from TV. That's not where we want you to be. We want you to be between 5 and 10 times return on investment, which is where a lot of our clients are. So again, we like to underpromise and overdeliver. We'll say 2 to 3x, expect that and be okay with that. But hopefully we can get you a 5 to 10x, which is where, again, a lot of our clients are. And if you think about it, you spend $5,000, you do 2 $25,000 deals. you're at a 10x or 10x return right there already. And a lot of our clients that come to us, they say, well, we're doing let's say $20,000 average on our deals. Then we get them on TV and we'll ask them, like, how much is your average deal? And typically it's anywhere from 10 to 30% higher is what their per deal average is on TV. So 20 might be 20,000 for all their other marketing methods, might be 25,000 for TV, or even 23,000 for TV. So it's kind of interesting how the number goes up for that.
That's good.
Let's see. Washington State. Interesting enough, there's only three markets in Washington. Spokane. We do have one person running in Spokane, so we'd have availability. Like I think I mentioned, we do 2 to 3 people per market. There's Yakima, Pasco, Richland, Kennewick, Washington, which is about 600,000 people. We have availability there. And then the Seattle Tacoma area is together, and that's about 5 million people. And we do have availability there. So yeah, Josh, I'd love to connect with you. Either way, you want to set up a call, we'd love to talk to you. If TV is not a fit, then we can at least talk about some other businesses if you want. So
right. And Tony, a lot of your clients do it virtually like you do, or are they local to whatever market?
I'm sorry, you said, are they local or are they virtual?
Are they doing virtual? Yeah.
I would say, I should have counted this number because I had this question the other day and I just estimated. I would say probably 30% of our clients do virtual investing, either because that's the way they were already set up when they came to us, or their market might have been sold out or too expensive and they decided to, because here in Orange County, if you saw LA, how massive it is, I have several clients in Orange County that know it's too expensive and competitive up there, and they invest in the Midwest.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. All right. Good to know. All right. Any other questions, y'all?
Midwest is the best. That's right.
Is San Diego available?
Yes, we do have availability in San Diego, and it actually is more affordable than you would think in San Diego.
So, I will set up a call with you, sir. I appreciate all the information.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it. And I'll email you and we'll connect about the construction as well.
Amazing.
Cool.
Thank you. I appreciate your time.
Yep.
I bet Melissa has a ton of ways to monetize this.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to go on TV. I did it when we were over at Gigi. But yeah, I like this.
So you worked with Gigi?
I was a director for a couple of years. Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah. They're doing well with TV. So obviously it works here.
Yeah, they've done very, very well with TV.
Yeah. Love to get your face on TV. And actually that's funny because just another tidbit, we've actually tested different things. I've been solo in my commercial for a long time, but as we started getting more clients on, we decided to test like husband and wife couples. They've done well. One thing that does really well is families. So we have, families. So, husband, wife, and kids. We've done husband, wife, and one kid. We've done husband, wife, kids,
all the
and a
commercials
dog.
I see here in San Diego market is just one older male. That's all anybody ever puts on TV.
Yeah. And here's the stat, or here's the research behind it. They say that having 2 people in a marketing message converts better than one, because there's 2 people that are portraying that, and it's not just one person potentially scamming, I think is part of the mentality. And if you have a man and a woman, then if someone wants to deal with the male, you got a male there. If someone wants to deal with a female's there. So you're not excluding someone that just doesn't want to. Because the guy here in San Diego, the guy that they use, he's not going to appeal to everybody, right? There's some people that are gonna...
we used to get so many calls. People would just call to hate on Doug, but they'd still call.
Yeah, exactly.
That's funny. Awesome. All right, Tony. Well, thank you so much for doing this call with us today. Really appreciate you. And you guys make sure you connect with Tony. You guys remtv.com. So I see Noah already put the website there, but yeah, you guys reach out, connect, and yeah, do some business. Get on TV.
And thank you, Jim. Pleasure to talk to you again.
Yes, good talking to you as well.
Thanks,
All right.
guys. Appreciate it. Hopefully we'll connect with you guys.
Thanks,
Sounds good.
Tony.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Yep.
My pleasure. Have a good one, guys.
Let's have a good one.